The aircraft might be the Lockheed Martin's design for the NGAD, Next Generation Air Dominance, or some other secretive program. In May this year, the Secretary of the Air Force Public Affairs announced that the Department of the Air Force has begun to solicit proposals for the 6th generation NGAD fighter that will replace the F-22 with the intent to award a contract in 2024. The NGAD platform is one of many critical combat capabilities that will enable counter-air missions with the ability to strike both airborne and ground-based threats to achieve air superiority and support the joint force. The next-generation aircraft will also cooperate with autonomous unmanned aircraft being developed as part of the Dedicated Collaborative Combat Aircraft (CCA) program. According to Secretary Kendall, the U.S. Air Force should procure 200 NGAD fighters along with 1,000 CCA autonomous drones that will cooperate in the loyal wingman role with the 6th generation combat aircraft within a system of systems that see the fighters cooperating and interconnected with other assets, including F-35s, satellites, a secure combat cloud network, air defense nodes, and so on. At least one full-scale NGAD demonstrator has been flying in secret at least since 2020. Then, in 2022, the war zone spotted another tailless, delta-wing aircraft in satellite imagery of Area 51 that may well be related to the NGAD program. There are also a series of interesting sightings across the US observed in 2014 that are still unexplained. All that being said, and considering also that Northrop Grumman also teased the shape of their notional NGAD-like concept in a recent video, it seems reasonable to believe that the one shared on social media is, if not the shape of the LM's submission, at least something related to it. However, it's important to highlight that the aircraft might still be something else. In terms of planform and shape, this 6th-gen design is similar to previous designs released by Lockheed Martin, showing a tailless design, considered ideal to obtain very low observability, with a diamond-shaped wing planform with straight leading and trailing edges. The engines are fully contained in the fuselage, with only 2 bulges denoting their position on the upper fuselage. As many low observable designs, the exhaust is located on the upper surface of the rear fuselage, shielding almost completely the infrared signature of the 2-dimensional diamond-shaped muzzles. The air intakes are not visible, as they are mounted below the fuselage, flush with the joint between wing root and fuselage, as it could be seen in the competition to provide the U.S. Air Force with its next-generation air dominance, or NGAD, stealth 6th-generation crewed tactical jet is reportedly down to 2 prime contractors or teams of contractors. A final decision on what is now assumed to be a winner-takes-all competition is expected sometime next year, and perhaps most intriguingly, there are said to be no fewer than 3 NGAD demonstrators now in existence. These latest revelations come from a recent podcast from the Defense and Aerospace Report, which you can find here. The Air Force has also insisted that the program avoid the acquisition malpractice that it says has adversely affected the F-35. Among others, the service wants a firmer design from the outset and U.S. government ownership of at least a significant portion of the data rights to it. This is considered necessary to expedite any future upgrades and spiral development, and to keep one contractor from having a monopoly on sustainment and evolution of the jet, and especially its software backbone, going forward. Another factor in NGAD is the relationship between this program and the one being pursued separately by the U.S. Navy. Also known as NGAD, the Navy program is also based around a crewed 6th-generation combat jet known as F/AXX. The Navy has very distinct requirements for what it needs in a crewed combat jet, and the service is investing heavily in its own program, which also points to significant progress having been achieved already. While we know there is at least some crossover between the 2 programs, we don't know how much and to what degree success for one contractor in the Air Force program could influence the Navy's choice in its own version.